Look around you. Your phone, your shoes, your coffee mug, your television, your laptop. Almost everything you own has one thing in common. Before it reached you, it crossed an ocean inside the exact same metal box. That simple steel container quietly transformed the modern world. Without it, online shopping would look completely different. Global supply chains would barely exist, and some of the world's largest economies might never have risen the way they did. Most people never think about it, because the greatest inventions often become invisible. Before the 1950s, moving cargo across the world was painfully slow. Every crate had to be lifted by hand. Every barrel was loaded individually. Every sack of grain was carried one by one. Thousands of dock workers spent days unloading a single ship. Cargo was frequently damaged. Goods disappeared. Theft was common. Ships often spent more time waiting in ports than crossing the ocean itself. The oceans weren't the biggest obstacle. The ports were. Shipping was simply too expensive. For many products, transporting them across the world cost more than making them. Global trade wasn't impossible. It just wasn't practical. Then an American trucking entrepreneur named Malcolm McLean noticed something almost everyone else ignored. The real problem wasn't the ship. It was unloading the cargo. Instead of asking how to build faster ships, he asked a completely different question. What if the cargo was never unloaded at all? What if the entire container simply moved from a truck to a ship, then to a train, then back onto another truck? The idea sounded almost too simple. A single steel box, always the same size, always stacked the same way, always locked the same way. But that simple standard changed everything. Ports no longer needed thousands of workers carrying cargo piece by piece. Massive cranes could lift entire containers in seconds. Loading costs collapsed. Ships spent hours in port instead of weeks. Moving products across oceans suddenly became dramatically cheaper, and when shipping became cheap, the entire global economy reorganized itself. Factories no longer had to be close to customers. Companies could manufacture products wherever production was cheapest. Electronics could be designed in one country, built in another, assembled somewhere else, and sold on the other side of the planet. Entire industries crossed oceans. Countries that had never been manufacturing powers suddenly became global exporters. China became the factory of the world. Global supply chains stretched across continents. Companies like Walmart filled enormous stores with products arriving from every corner of the planet. Years later, Amazon would build an empire on top of that same invisible system. Even your smartphone tells this story. Its processor may have been designed in the United States. Its memory produced in South Korea. Its display manufactured in another country. Its battery somewhere else. Its camera somewhere else again. Before finally being assembled, packed inside a container, loaded onto a ship, crossing an ocean, and eventually arriving in your hands. That metal box didn't simply move products, it moved entire economies. Today, more than 90% of global trade travels by sea. Millions of identical containers cross the oceans every year. Most people never notice them, until something interrupts the system. During the COVID-19 pandemic, ports became congested, containers piled up. Ships waited offshore, factories slowed down, store shelves emptied. Prices increased around the world. For the first time in decades, millions of people realized just how dependent modern life had become on a system they had never even thought about. One standardized steel box had quietly become one of civilization's most important inventions. The internet made buying things easier. The shipping container made buying them possible. Sometimes history isn't changed by a king, or a president, or even a war. Sometimes it changes because someone looks at an ordinary problem and asks a completely different question. And sometimes, the invention that changes the world is nothing more than a simple metal box.